Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenny. Today we're going to be talking about the houseplants that I would not buy again. These are plants that are common, that I've killed more than once, and that I just find are really finicky and difficult to take care of.
I wanted to share this list because unfortunately a lot of people start their plant collections with these plants, and then when they die they think that they have a black thumb. Nobody has a black thumb. Some plants just suck. If you have had success with one of these 10 houseplants, I'd like for you to share your witchcraft with us. Number one, tell me in the comments below, what are you doing to make these plants thrive? What's the lighting condition? Have they survived year round? How do you water it? If you have one of these plants and you didn't know that they were hard to take care of and now you're panicking, don't worry. You might have success with these plants, but even if you don't, this is how we learn.
Number one is the Majesty Palm. They are beautiful, large palm trees that are often extremely inexpensive. The problem with this plant is that they really need a lot of light, and if you let them dry out too much, that's it. The leaves on the palm will just dry up. It'll be fine, and then you come home and it's completely crisped up. This is the number one plant that I avoid. They're just not good houseplants. Moving right along, I would tell you not to buy tiny succulents. I really don't know who started the rumor that succulents are so easy to take care of. I've wasted hundreds of dollars buying tiny succulents over the last 10 years, and I don't have any of them left. They all died. One of the misconceptions with succulents is that you'd never have to water them. This is untrue. The other problem with getting a super tiny succulent in a 2-inch diameter pot or a 4-inch diameter pot like this one is that the soil dries out really fast. You actually do have to water it at least every week, especially in the summer. The third thing is that succulents require bright, direct sun. They want as much direct sun as you can possibly give it, preferably from a south or west facing window. So a lot of people buy succulents and will put it like on their nightstand or on their coffee table, and it may not be right in front of the window, and then the succulent doesn't do well. So if you absolutely love the look of a small succulent, I would recommend a few different varieties. The Rhaphis is a lower light succulent, and I've been able to keep those alive for much longer, although those I killed as well. You can also get a type of snake plant in tiny sizes, and they look kind of like little succulents or little cactuses, but they're a lot easier to take care of. Moving on. Ferns. I have such a complicated relationship with ferns because visually they are one of my favorite plants that you can get. They have this like really retro 70s vibe. They're so extremely lush. I recently bought a fern at the beginning of quarantine to kind of cheer myself up, and it's dead now. The issue with ferns is that they need so much nice humidity to stay alive. They want to be in a rainforest. And that is a really hard environment to emulate in the middle of winter when your heat is blasting. They also really like their soil to be evenly moist at all times, but not soaking. So they really require a lot of upkeep when it comes to watering. I asked my Instagram audience what plants they have killed repeatedly, and so many people said ferns. There's just this moment where the fern turns on you, and all of a sudden its beautiful fronds just start looking dry and brittle, and then it just starts dropping leaves, and next thing you know, you have little fern bits all over your apartment, and you're sweeping it up every day, and then you're just like, I really hate this plant. Do not let your ferns dry out. Keep those babies moist. Next is English ivy, which is one of my favorite plants of all time, but that's it. I will not bring another English ivy into my home. This was another one where when I asked my Instagram audience which ones they have killed, 90% of people said English ivy. I bought a bunch of English ivy again at the beginning of quarantine. I divided one super big plant into a bunch of small ones, and they're all dead now, except for this one, which is like on its last leg. You can see all of these little crispy leaves. It's just a matter of time before they all fall off, and it's getting sparse. English ivy are super similar to ferns in that they like their soil to be evenly moist. The leaves can go crispy when you've overwatered it and also when you've underwatered it. They also are super thirsty for the most beautiful, bright, indirect light at all times. So they don't like direct sun and they don't like low light. And I think where I had them in the shelf above my bed is it was just not quite bright enough. And this plant I positioned a little bit closer to the windows and it seems to have responded better to that. Again, I know this is gonna die and then that'll be it for my ivy career. One of the reasons why I love English ivy is because I like to have my plants on shelves or trailing from plant hangers. So if you absolutely love the look of a trailing plant, I would recommend going for a pothos. You can get it in a lush dark green leaf. A neon pothos is like a bright yellow leaf, and you can get a variegated white and green. There's also a beautiful plant called a satin pothos that I love. You can get a heartleaf philodendron, and it's also an easy trailing plant. Next up is the burro's tail plant. These plants are so popular on Instagram. The issue with the burro's tail is that they're so extremely fragile. So I bought a burro's tail. An entire tail of the burro's tail just fell off before I even brought it home. Don't touch your burro's tail. Don't water it too much. Put it in an out of reach area of your home. You know what? Don't even look at a burro's tail the wrong way. For the same reason, I'm also going to list string of pearls in my no-buy list. They're just extremely fragile. They're so beautiful. They look like little peas. When I worked in a plant store, this was the plant that stressed me out the most. The longer they sat in the store, the more they would just thin out. Okay, so next up is Crotons. They are kind of finicky. I learned this quickly when I started working in that plant store. Crotons like to have a lot of sun. The more sun they have, the more colorful and vibrant their leaves are. I also discovered when I was working at the plant store that they dry out extremely quickly and immediately suffer the consequences of that. I would just be doing my, daily watering rounds, and I had sort of a system for the more drought resistant plants. I could chill and leave them. And then there were the super thirsty plants that needed attention every day. That was absolutely the Crotons for me. And any variety that I've brought into my house, I've killed. Except surprisingly, this gold dust Croton, which actually really needs a water right now. The soil feels extremely dry, but it's hung on. It's hung on for dear life for 2 years. And I don't know, it used to be a lot more full and now it just has, I just think it's a really adorable plant. Don't be discouraged to bring plants into your home. Try it. This is just my experience, and there are so many other plants that are easy to take care of that I've had for decades. So if you want that list, let me know. Next up, we have air plants. They don't require soil to survive. Usually they're around $10 to $20, and I've purchased multiple types of air plants throughout the years, and I've never managed to keep them alive for longer than 6 months to 8 months. They need a lot of light. If you put an air plant in a windowless bathroom, it will eventually die. Air plants like to see the sky. They also require water every week. Air plants don't like to be touched. The oils from our skin can disrupt the way that the plant absorbs nutrients from the air. So they can't be handled too much or they'll start looking really sad. Finally, the last plant on my list is the fiddle leaf fig tree. I actually say this with a grain of salt. There's a fig tree right behind me. I love fig trees and I've had a lot of success with them, but I want to caution brand new plant parents from the fig tree. I get a lot of DMs in my Instagram with people asking for plant care advice, and I would say 5 times out of 10, people are in a lot of distress over why their fig tree has tiny little brown spots on it, why all the leaves have suddenly gone brown, why leaves are dropping. And I understand the distress because fig trees are expensive. You can often see 5 or 6 foot fig trees for $200 at the plant store. So it's a really big investment. The problem with fig trees is that they need the most perfect conditions in order to thrive. And if you give them anything less than perfection, they will immediately self-destruct. What I've learned perfection looks like for a fig tree is bright and direct light from a south or west facing window. and to allow the soil to dry out 50% in between watering. I definitely would say don't give up on fig trees, but research the plant and make sure that your home is absolutely perfect, like heaven for this fig tree. So there you have it. That is my list of plants that I probably won't be buying again, except for the fig tree. Let me know in the comments below, do you agree with the plants that I put on this list? Do you have some of these plants that you've managed to keep alive? Is there a different plant that you just can't seem to stop killing? I'd love to hear from you. And if you've made it this far, I would love if you would like and subscribe. I'm just growing this channel and it would really mean a lot to me. Thank you. I'll see you on the next video.